Hey everybody, today on my anime top 5, I'm going to talk about my top 5 vampire animes, whether it be TV, or OVAs, or even films. Ah, vampires, immortal creatures of the night that feast upon the blood of their victims through their fangs. For me, they are truly the greatest monsters of fiction. Unless you count Twilight and Vampire Knights, those actually totally suck ass. Now, the biggest reason why I'm doing this top 5 is because actor Michael Gough recently passed away. You may remember him as the guy playing Alfred on most of those Batman movies. Not to mention playing various characters in pretty much every single Tim Burton movie that he's been in. Not to mention, for me, he was in one of my favorite live-action vampire films, The Horror of Dracula. And I highly recommend you check that out, it's pretty cool. Now, for this top 5, I decided not to feature any of my Vampire Hunter D films because, well, as most of you know, Vampire Hunter D is the reason why I watch anime in the first place, and it would be a little bit unfair that I put them in because I really love those animes so freaking much, so I just thought I'm just gonna put them aside. Anyway, let's get started. Number 5 goes to Hellsing the OVA series. Hellsing is an organization led by Ingrid Hellsing, who is determined to rid England of its vampire menace. And her trump card for defeating these vampires are 2 vampires that work for her. One is Alucard, a gun-wielding crazy vampire, who orgasmically enjoys killing every vampire that he meets. And next is a vampire rookie cop named Ceres Victoria, who is struggling to keep her humanity while becoming a vampire. There are many reasons why I like this anime. Crazy vampires, crazy priests who really want to kill vampires, blood and violence, and more importantly, death to Nazis! And boy, do I really hate those Nazis. Not to mention that this anime has a great cast of characters with cool abilities. And with a great cast of voice actors for both English and Japanese dub, especially the voice actors who play Alucard. Both Joji Nakata and Crispin Freeman give different approaches to the character, but their portrayal of Alucard is brilliant. But you're probably gonna ask, why did I put this particular anime on the lowest of the 5? Well, mostly because I actually thought Alucard was just way too powerful of a character, and I like characters which show a little bit more weakness. Especially when they get into battle, I kinda wish they didn't make Alucard win all the freaking time. And not to mention Ceres Victoria, she kind of annoys the hell out of me, even in both the TV series and this one. And if you're gonna ask what do I think about the TV series, I thought it was okay, but I think I prefer the OVA better. So if you want to sink your teeth into a vampire anime that's crazy with action, I suggest you check this one out. Number 4 goes to Karen. Karen tells the story of a vampire teenage girl who doesn't suck blood, but blood comes out of her. Mostly through the nose, with hilarious consequences. Not to mention that when she bites somebody and gives them her blood, they become hyper energetic freaks. It's kind of funny. Not only that, as a teenage girl, she has to put up with a lot of things in her life that are difficult. Like high school, homework, her family driving her crazy, and most importantly, boys. One boy she took an interest to was a new transfer student named Kenta Usui. You see, when it comes to Karen and her family, they all have a different taste for certain bloods with certain emotions from humans. And Karen happens to be unhappiness, which Kenta Usui has been having for most of his life. And it's driving Karen crazy with gigantic amounts of nosebleeds. This anime is absolutely hilarious with a great cast of characters that will make you laugh and totally adore them. Like, for one thing, Karen is a fragile yet hilarious character. And everything in her life is just crazy. And it's kind of hilarious to see her put up with it. I also love the romance between her and Kenta. It gives you that feeling of a high school romance, which I do find adorable. Also, I have to mention about her family. I mean, her dad is a total daddy's little girl kind of character. Her mother is so mean, her brother is a playboy, and her youngest sister is kinda creepy, with a talking doll. They remind me of a total vampire version of the old TV sitcom, The Munsters. But I have to say the one character that really caught my eye the most was Winter Sinclair, who is a vampire hunter that is hilariously funny. I mean, he's like Vampire Hunter D, except his personality is totally the opposite of his. I mean, for one thing, his personality is more open compared to D's. But like D, he is devoted into getting rid of vampires and trying to win Karen's heart, which I do find totally hilarious. So if you want an anime with vampires that will drive you batty with laughter, I suggest you definitely check this out. Number 3 goes to Blood the Last Vampire. Taking place in the year 1966, the last remaining original vampire named Saya is hunting down a bunch of monsters called Chiropteran. Giant demons that feast upon human blood. With her sword in hand, she will investigate in a military base that has been involved with Chiropteran murders. And it is up to Saya to take them down and protect a nurse who was also involved in those murders. This anime is a great mixture of horror, tension, and violence. And not to mention that it has a great cold-blooded vampire heroine. Not to mention that this is one of those rare animes that both uses English and Japanese in just one dub. Also, I do have to mention that this anime has a great mixture of 2D and 3D animation. And I especially love the character design on Saya's looks, because for me, when you look at her, it's like she is ready to unleash hell and unleashing a fury upon these Chiropterans. It's pretty creepy, but I have to say the one annoying aspect about this anime is the school nurse. She is pretty much annoying at everything. She's constantly screaming at pretty much anything horrifying, which does annoy me a little. Anyway, that's pretty much what I have to say about this anime, but if you like horror and violence and a whole lot of blood, I definitely check this anime out. There's also an alternate TV series and a live-action movie, which I definitely think that anybody who loves Blood the Last Vampire would actually check this out. It's actually pretty cool. Number 2 goes to Nightwalker. Nightwalker tells the story of a vampire detective named Shido. And with the help of his partners, a beautiful government agent named Yayoi, his vampire secretary Riho, and a green fairy named Goonie, they will hunt down a race of demons called Nightbreeds. A race of demons that have the ability to possess humans and create havoc and murder upon humanity. This anime is filled with horror, thriller, and drama. Each episode of this anime has a terrifying tale that will keep you glued to your seats. Well, if you don't count the early episodes, they don't really grab you that much. Plus, I do love Shido, the vampire hero of this anime. He's kind of like a cross between Lestat and Louis from Interview with a Vampire. Not to mention that he has a really cool power where he bites his finger and he can turn his blood into a weapon. It's pretty cool. Not to mention one particular character, Yayoi, one of the supporting cast, she has without a doubt one of the most disturbing backstories that I've ever heard. Now, I don't want to spoil anything, but when you see her past being unveiled, you'll be like, whoa. And trust me, it's definitely worth watching for that. So if you want an anime with a vampire and his team taking down shape-shifting demons with a terrifying tale with each episode, I definitely check this anime out. And the number 1 vampire anime goes to Vampire Princess Miyu, the TV series. Miyu is a guardian, and she is hunting down a race of demons called Shinma, who not only feed on human emotions, but they also feed on human lives. And with the help of her demonic partner named Larva, and a demon bunny rabbit named Sheena, they will send these demons back into the darkness. And whether or not the victims of the Shinma attacks deserve eternal happiness through Miyu's kiss. Now, for me, there is just something haunting about this anime that makes me want to come back for more. For one thing, this anime has a great, tremendous storytelling with each episode. Even the supporting cast, who have short yet a nice development story just through one episode, are even more memorable than the main characters. It's that amazing. And I do have to admit, I just love the partnership between Miyu and Larva, and how they work together in taking down the Shinma. Not to mention, both of them are trying to understand the complications of both the human and the monster. Now, I do have to mention that the Shimas do look silly when you look at them. But for me, I just love their evil intentions and how they manipulate their victims. It is truly unsettling. So if you want an anime where a vampire is sending the demons back into the darkness with a compelling, gripping story, I suggest you check this anime out. Now, I do have to mention that there's also an OVA series, which is pretty good too, but I suggest you don't watch it in the English dub. It's really pretty bad. So, that was my top 5 vampire animes. Although technically, Vampire Hunter D and Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust would have been on my number 2 and number 1 on the list. Anyway, I would like to hear what is your favorite vampire anime. But if you don't like vampires, what is your favorite monster and what's your favorite monster anime? I'll see you guys around.